to Before the Book is Finished. This is a podcast for readers who love the story behind the story, okay? The current messy middle of writing a book, editing a book, querying my debut novel, but also just like midlife, right? We're in the messy middle, and it's all here in the podcast, all for you and me to really let go and let be. This podcast is really a mixture of reader life, author life, and honest conversations about creativity, identity, books, and building something new later in life. Okay, today I really want to talk about the story that wouldn't leave me alone. I talked a little bit about this on episode number 1. If you haven't watched that already, be sure to go back and check it out. But this is really the idea for my book that stayed with me for years, literal years, guys. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Let's get into it. So when I first had this idea for this book, I truly was not thinking anything about writing a book. I have never been an author before. I did write an ebook for parenting education. So, I had a little bit of experience in the creative writing world. I also did copywriting for a multi-million-dollar coaching company. Lots and lots of emails I have written, but I had never written an 80,000 word novel in my life, or even really thought about it. It was never on my bingo card, okay? And in this particular stage of life, we were really just having the best time. We had both, my husband had quit his job. We had bought a caravan. We were traveling around Australia, just kind of like enjoying life together with our kids. We had a 2 and a 5-year-old at that time. So yeah, it was hectic, but it actually was such a great time for us to connect and really allow our creativity, our energy to really just like restore, right? Like all of these things, all the normal life things were taken away on this caravan trip. And it really just allowed us to think like, what do we want in life? What do we want to do? What are our goals? Where do we see ourselves? And, we don't always stop and think about that. So it was a really great opportunity for us to do that, right? And with that, we had kind of gone halfway around Australia. Halfway. And this was COVID time. I think it was like 2021. So we ended up getting stopped in Queensland, and borders were shutting down, and we got stuck in this town in Queensland. Now, it is a beautiful part of the world, so I will not complain. And I don't even really like to use the language stuck, because we did choose to stay there versus somewhere else in Queensland. And it is such a gorgeous spot. So that base that we ended up creating there was kind of the beginning of this energetic, creative explosion that happened within me as a human being, as a writer, as a mom, as all the different roles in my life. The energy in this place is kind of like rainforest vibes. Really was igniting this creativity, this yearning to do something creative, something passionate in my life. Okay. So when I had this dream, probably a couple months later, I had actually, before we went on the caravan trip, this is kind of serendipitous, okay? Before we went on our caravan trip, I was working with a coach. If you want her name, she is amazing. I will give you her details. She really helps women come back into who they want to be and what they want out of life. And she was able to help me just like open up my mind to what it was that I wanted to do. Like, I had a thriving business. I had created a parenting business that was making over $10,000 a month. I was literally at the peak of success in this business, and still there was something missing. There was something that I wasn't getting out of the life I had created. And so she was helping me to kind of go through, what was it that I had missed? What was it that I still wanted out of life? And one of the things that came up was a course, just like an online course for how to be a best-selling author. Now, at that time, it's just so weird because I had never really truly thought about writing a work of fiction. I'd never written any ideas down to write. I just thought, yeah, I want to write a book one day. So I bought this course and I went through a couple of the modules, but like I said, I really didn't even know what I was going to write a book about. I really had no idea. It was just this little breadcrumb, this piece of intuition that led me to buy this course. A year later, after this caravan trip and being kind of stuck in this town in COVID, I had this dream and I knew right away. I woke up, I had to voice note it. I walked out of the caravan in the middle of the night, held my phone up to my mouth, and voice noted the entire dream. Then on top of that, the following day when I woke up, I went home and voice noted the next 3 to 6 chapters. I was so, I don't know, just fueled up on this idea of this book. After that, I set it aside and I was like, okay, well, there's the idea. I'm going to write this book. One day that will be a book. Not today. I had a lot of other things going on. I was actually selling my business at that time. And so I had to really get on board with getting it in order and giving it to the next owners. And then on top of that, we were looking at buying a new house in this area, getting out of the caravan, which meant I started my copywriting job at this other place. And everything, life was just exploding with abundance at that moment. And it just really wasn't a great time for me to sit down and write this book. However, 2 years later, I decided now is the time. So that's what I did. I wrote the book. Now, if you know anything about writing a book, you know that it can take months and months and months, okay? This process for me, I got serious about it and I read a couple of books about writing books, and that helped guide me into how I was going to stay consistent, how I was going to, have a job and still write an 80,000 word book. And so some of the things that I took away from these books about writing books was that you need to be consistent. You need to write every day, whether it's 500 words or 3,000 words. That doesn't make the difference. The habit is the difference. So that was huge for me, monumental in my mindset going into creating this book. So when this idea came to me, I had about the first 10 chapters already voice noted. I transcribed them and I put them into real on paper, not really paper, digital book, right? But what I had to do then was make a lot of big decisions, because when I was voice noting it, it was in third person, but I wanted to write in first person. So I ended up scrapping a lot of what I already had. And that was hard, but I also knew this was just an idea. It was the starting point of what the book was going to be. So I actually ended up booking an Airbnb for, I think it was 4 nights. And I was like, right, I know I want to get these first 10,000 words done. And from there, then I'm going to do the consistent 1,000 words a day. And that worked. That is how I ended up going from idea to 80,000 words in about 3 months time. Okay, so that was a really cool experience to go through that and actually complete it. Absolutely. I mean, it was a challenge. There was lots of days when I only wrote 100 words, but I was so consistent that it really helped me get to the end goal. I also had my sister coming to visit at the end of that 3 months. And I was like, if I have my sister here and we're doing all the holiday things, we're going on tours and we're having fun, I'm going to be getting out of the habit of writing, and it's going to be a lot harder to get back in. So I really wanted to finish by the time she got here, which was really great because that helped me stay on track. Okay. So being able to just create this book just for myself on that level was huge. That accomplishment was such a good feeling to know that from this idea, this book came together. So that was actually one of the most amazing things that happened just from that point, right? I mean, I'm only going to talk about from that point, not from like ongoing from today. I'll do that in another episode. You have to come back for that. But up to this point of actually just finishing the manuscript, that really truly was the part that blew my mind. That I was capable of actually writing a book, right? Who would have thought? I did not. I did not think that. I didn't go to school for creative writing. I didn't go to school for journalism. Like nothing. I was just following a passion, okay? So even if my book never makes it anywhere, already I feel accomplished and successful in that way, okay? But what this story really represents to me as far as the actual story, okay? Without spoiling the book too much, there is some themes that kind of play in the book. They weave in and out, and I hope that I have written it well enough that you receive the messages without me actually saying, this is the message. So this is really like the emotional heart of the book. That's how I like to think about it. It's like, what is keeping this book alive? What is helping you to continue thinking about it after you read it? What is the driving force between you and really like having that deep connection to the characters and the storyline? So one of the things, it's a YA book. So this is a lot about identity, right? Figuring out who you are in the world, figuring out where you're going to go, what's going to happen, and deciding. You get to choose what you're going to do in life, right? But when you're that young, when you're a teenager, when you're 17, you don't always know that that's the case. And then the world opens up to you and you think, oh my gosh, there's so many options. What am I going to do? Do I look to my parents to make these choices? Do I look to other authority figures? Do I look to friends? But what the message is really looking inside yourself and hearing your intuition and really being able to think about, what do I want, right? So I love it. It's just kind of this full circle moment from the moment that I started thinking about what I wanted in life has produced this coming of age kind of story about finding, Sonora is our FMC, for finding her path in life and deciding for herself what she wants to do, what she stands up for, what she values, and what she wants out of life. So this is a huge piece of it. There's lots of other hidden gems in there, but that is definitely the emotional connection. She kind of goes from this sheltered life where her parents were trying to, keep her safe into something much more. And I'm not going to go into it because I really don't want to spoil it, but you will figure that out as you go through the book. And I cannot wait to share it with you guys. And that's what I mean about this whole thing being more than just a story, right? Just a dream, just something that popped up in my mind and then decided to become a book. It's really just about following our creative instincts, right? How many times have you thought, oh, that would be cool, I should do that, and then you never think about it again? Like, this is the difference between having an idea and taking action, okay? And why does so-and-so have all these amazing things happening in their life? Why do their dreams keep returning to them? And a lot of the times it really is that piece, like if you have something, and it doesn't even have to be a dream. I personally I don't know why, somewhere in my past, somebody said to me that certain authors, I can't even remember which authors it was, wrote down their dreams, or their idea came from their dreams. And so it was always in my mind for years and years and years that if I was ever to tell a story, it would come to me in my dreams. It's just something I knew, right? It's that instinct. It's not something that somebody, told me to watch out for. It's just something I knew that I needed to watch out for. So why do you keep having the same dream over and over? Why do you keep having the same patterns in your life? What's happening in your life that you can relate to storytelling? I mean, this really is just about listening to yourself. Honestly, it really is about listening to yourself, your inner guidance, and just taking that actionable step forward, even if it's scary, even if it's fearful. And I think the more fun and like lighthearted you can be about it, the better, because the time that you decide to put pressure on it or make it something big or turn it into something other than fun, it kind of starts crumbling, right? And so for me, that's what this book was about. I never pressured myself to write the book. I had the idea to write a book, and then a year later I had the idea of what the book was going to be about, and then in 2 years after that I started writing the book. And now, even it's been a year and a few months since I finished the manuscript, and I'm still editing and getting it ready for publishing and querying. So really, I knew deep down that this project wasn't going to be a like really quick turnaround, make it happen, like go, go, go. I knew it was going to be a long process. I did not know it was going to be this long. But from idea to writing book, I'm so thankful that I listened to my instincts and I really just went with the flow. It's not always easy for me to do. Now, since we are talking all about YA books, I want to talk about what I'm currently reading now, because this book truly has, I don't know, it's got something special in it, because it really does make me come back to the moment when, like I said before, when you have that feeling and connection with the character, you go on this journey with them and you truly want the best for them. You want them to win. You want them to succeed. You want them to, whatever it is their goal is. It doesn't even really matter what genre of fiction. There's always an outcome that you're rooting for. And in YA, I always find there's always that element of kind of finding out who you are and deciding what you want out of life, especially YA that's with the younger characters, right? Teenage, even early 20s, right? So the book that I'm talking about is The Prison Healer. Let me know if you guys have read it. It is absolutely amazing. 3-book series. It's been out for a while. I don't even know when it was actually published, but it has been, several awards, Goodread awards. Like, go out and read it. It is a classic at this point. Can we say classic? I'm not sure. But it's, it's required reading material if you like YA fantasy. Okay, so I would love to know what you think. I am literally right in the middle of this book, and already I love the character arc. I love the journey that they're going on. So I would love to know how you have felt while reading it, if you've already read it, or if it's on your TBR, or if you're adding it on your TBR now. Let me know. I want to know where you're at in your reading journey. And this is a book we're reading inside of the Weekend Romantasy Book Readers Club. This is my book club that I run. It's on Fable. If you guys want to join, leave a comment. I'll send you the link. We have a book a week, so you don't have to read a book a week if you don't want, but it gives us a good option. And the best thing that I love about the book club is that there's so many book recommendations. I find all of my new book recommendations from being in this book club. So 100% recommend. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I think really what it comes down to is that some stories stay with us for a reason. Okay. And maybe the things that we can't stop thinking about are sometimes the things that we're actually supposed to pursue, right? If it's a nagging thing that keeps coming up, a pattern, a dream, or whatever it is, take a minute and just have a little think, like, why is this coming up again? What can I do with this, right? hope this helps you guys on your creative journey. If you're writing a book, thinking about writing a book, or if you've already written a book, you've published a book, or you're just a reader, let me know in the comments. I can't wait to see you for our next episode number 3. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.